Alright, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a big fight preview. So we're going to Singapore for ONE Championship Winter Warriors. We're going to the co-main event in the ONE Atomweight division. Stamp Fairtex taking on Ritu Phogat in the final bout of the ONE Atomweight World Grand Prix. The winner of this bout will be declared the Atomweight Grand Prix champion and will go on to challenge Angela Lee for her ONE Atomweight title in Angela's long awaited return. It's an interesting final. This tournament took a long time to get going, and then it took even longer to get it to this point. And there was a lot of bumps along the way, and it ended up being two of ONE Championship's homegrown fighters that made it to the finals. So I'm sure ONE Championship is very happy with those results and will be happy with whoever wins this one. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the stats on this one. Stamp coming in at 7-1. The Indian Tigress Ritu Phogat also coming in with a 7-1 record. Now Stamp is riding 2 straight wins over Aliona Rasohina and Julie Meza Barba, whereas Ritu is riding 3 straight wins over Hun Jin Lin, Bo Munbo, and then Jenilyn Olsum. And they both fought, their last 2 fights have been on the same day as well. Let's see. Stamp is slightly younger, 24 years to 27 for Ritu. And Stamp is slightly taller at 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters to 5 feet 1 inch, 156 centimeters for Ritu. I don't have a reach available on the Tapology stats. So those are your stats for this one. So let's talk about each fighter individually, and then we'll go into the keys for victory for both of them. So let's talk about Stamp Fairtex. So Stamp, comes from the Muay Thai base. This is a striker versus grappler battle, and Stamp is the striker. So she has a very strong traditional Muay Thai base. She makes very heavy use of her kicks and often leads with her low kicks, whether they're outside low kicks or inside. She throws more low kicks than just about any other female fighter I've seen. She makes very good use of her kicks. Also has some very good feints. I was watching her rematch with Aliona Rasohina, and she was just really keeping Rasohina off balance and off of her guard by using a lot of feints. And also, of course, with a Muay Thai fighter, you're going to have some really good clinch work. Stamp's really good with the clinch and is able to dump her opponents with it, in addition to landing some good knees and elbows in it as well. Now on the ground, Stamp, she's quick to scramble and is not content to stay on her back. It's one thing I like about, the way Stamp fights as a mixed martial artist. She knows that where her strengths are, and she will work to get back to them. So she doesn't stay on the ground very long. If she gets taken down, as soon as she hits the ground, she is already scrambling, working to get back to her feet or working to get to a more advantageous position. She also has an improving grappling game. Every fight I've seen of her, she gets better as a grappler. She has improved takedown defense and pretty good submission defense as well. So that's Stamp Fairtex. Let's go to the other corner, Ritu Phogat. So Ritu, in this striker versus grappler battle, is the grappler. She is a very strong wrestler with a very heavy top game. She gets on top of you. She is often very stifling. She takes opponents down, and they just have a hard time, getting back to their base, establishing anything, working their sweeps or switches, or just, getting back up along the fence. So when she gets an opponent down, she's very heavy on them, heavy base, heavy top game, just absolutely stifles her opponents. Ritu's also very strong, just absolutely jacked for a lady her size. Big shoulders, really strong, puts that into her striking as well. She has a nice overhand right that she's able to land. That's her best strike so far, is that overhand right. And when she puts her strength behind it, It packs a wallop. Also very durable. We saw her have to struggle to survive against Meng Bo, and she did that very well. Almost got finished, almost got knocked out in the first round, got hurt in, I believe, the second round as well. Survived both times to actually end up, being in control at the end of those rounds. So very durable. She's not going to be easy to put away. Also, the crucifix. That is where Ritu does her best work. If she can get to side control and get the crucifix, that's where most of her finishes, ground and pound finishes, have come from. Is getting to side control, getting to the crucifix, and just raining down punches and elbows from that crucifix position. So that's Ritu, and I talked about Stamp before that. So let's talk about the keys to victory for this one. For Stamp, she needs to be ready to sprawl. She has to know that Ritu is going to come out and look to land takedowns, particularly the double leg. So she needs to be ready to sprawl. Now, doesn't want to anticipate it. You anticipate it, and you get thrown off. So she doesn't want to anticipate it, but she needs to be ready for it. For Ritu, she's got to get those takedowns. So she cannot hang out on the outside against a taller, longer Muay Thai striker. She hangs out on the outside, she's going to get picked apart. She's got to get inside to get to those takedowns. Now for Stamp's low kicks, I mentioned, they are an integral part of her arsenal. I mean, absolutely key part of her arsenal. She's got to be careful with them. She's got to either throw the kick and then throw the punches behind them, or lead with the punches and then throw the low kick. Because she has a tendency to throw them absolutely naked, which is a very Muay Thai style thing. And sometimes her opponents catch them. Julie Meza Barba in Stamp's last fight caught several of them and was able to take her down. So she's got to be careful with those low kicks. Now, neither fighter is going to want to stay in the other fighter's wheelhouse should they find them in it. So each fighter in this bout is going to want to try to maintain and fight their own fight here. If Stamp gets taken down, she does not want to stay there. Ritu, like I said, does not want to stay on the outside. They have a very strong base style, and each needs to do their best to implement their game. Now, the longer the fight goes, the more cardio is going to affect it. And having watched each of these ladies, all of their pro MMA bouts, I feel that the longer this fight goes, the more it could favor Stamp, particularly if she is able to stop those takedowns. Ritu has somewhat questionable cardio, especially watching that B. Nguyen fight. She could have improved on it, but I'm just saying what I've seen. Now, if she gets taken down, Stamp absolutely needs to scramble to stand up immediately. Don't try to out-grapple with Ritu like she did with Rasohina. Scramble, get back to your feet, create space, and get back to your striking. And like I said for Ritu, if she gets the takedowns, she needs to establish a controlling position immediately. So if the fight hits the ground, Ritu needs to establish control. Stamp needs to work to get back up. Now, as far as the lead, who should take the lead in this fight? Both of them really want to take the lead in this fight. Neither of them should have their back to the fence. That's not going to be good for either of them. For Stamp, it'll allow Ritu to get her takedowns more easily. For Ritu, if she has her back against the fence, Stamp can just circle around on the inside and pick her apart and keep her back to the fence the whole time. So neither of them really want to be on the outside circling. They want to be on the inside. They want to be the ones leading the bout. So those are the keys to victory. So now I got to pick a winner here, because otherwise I'll hear no end of it in the comments. So my pick is going to be Stamp Fairtex. And I'll tell you why. I feel that she has the more complete overall MMA game. I mean, they both have the same amount of experience, but the growth that I've seen from Stamp is much greater than the growth I've seen from Ritu. Also, Stamp's, her career is stretched out farther, which allowed her more time between fights to improve on her game. Whereas Ritu, her entire career has been very rushed in like less than 2 years. Whereas Stamp, she was practicing MMA before she got signed to ONE. She was already converting her game. And once she got to ONE, was working on it more heavily. Whereas Ritu, right out of the bat, just fight after fight after fight after fight after fight. ONE Championship really started pushing her. I feel that allowed Stamp to grow and evolve more as a fighter. Also, Stamp has fought more fighters of differing styles and has fought more challenging fights as a fighter thus far than Ritu has. Ritu has almost fought exclusively fighters who have zero takedown defense, meaning she's been given easy wins. Now, Stamp fought mainly grapplers in the beginning that couldn't really strike with her, giving her easy fights too, but her competition has gotten much more difficult in a shorter period of time, whereas compared to Ritu, has been given easy matchup after easy matchup. And I feel that's going to play a big part in this bout, is that experience factor. Now, I already laid out, Stamp has got to work on that sprawl. And if she can sprawl and stop several of Ritu's takedowns, that's really going to play into the psychological factor in Ritu's head. Because if you can stop a wrestler's takedowns and take away their main weapon, boom, they're almost done immediately as a fighter. Now, one X factor that could play a part in this, and it could work against Stamp. She went back to Thailand after her last fight. Now, their last fight was only, a month ago? Yeah, like a month ago. And Stamp went back to Thailand, where I'm pretty sure she had to quarantine in that time, which means she had less time to train for this fight. Whereas for Ritu, the fight's in Singapore, she lives and trains in Singapore, she had more time to train. So that could end up favoring her. But as for my pick for this, I'm going to go with Stamp Fairtex to win, most likely via decision. I don't see her finishing Ritu. If Mong Bo couldn't get Ritu out, I have a hard time seeing Ritu or Stamp doing it. Not that Stamp isn't a finisher, it's just she's more likely to go to decision. So there you have it. My thoughts on the final bout of the ONE Atomweight World Grand Prix between Stamp Fairtex and Ritu Phogat. Like I said, I'm picking Stamp to win. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Share it as well. Let others see it. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.